消费2万多，男子直接跑路，女的把男的告上法院。
Recently, a laughable yet ridiculous incident occurred. A woman in Zhejiang brought 23 relatives with her to a blind date, and the total cost of the meal exceeded 20,000 yuan. After seeing the bill, the man fled directly, which enraged the woman so much that she sued him in court for compensation. This case has sparked heated discussions among netizens. So, what exactly happened, and what was the outcome that shocked everyone? The protagonist of this blind date is a man named Lao Wang, who is still single despite his age. Lao Wang's parents were very anxious about his marriage and asked around for suitable candidates. Finally, someone introduced him to a woman named Liang Xiaojia. They agreed to meet for a blind date, but this blind date turned into an unexpected disaster for Lao Wang. On the day of the blind date, Lao Wang and his family arrived early at the private room in the hotel. Unexpectedly, Liang Xiaojia did not come alone. Instead, she arrived with 23 relatives in tow. Due to the large number of people, they had to sit at 2 tables. Lao Wang's family sat at one table, while Liang Xiaojia and her relatives occupied the other, enjoying a lively and cheerful meal. However, when it came time to settle the bill, Lao Wang was stunned. The meal cost more than 20,000 yuan. Faced with such an exorbitant bill, Lao Wang felt it was unacceptable and ultimately chose to leave quietly. Liang Xiaojia's family, realizing that Lao Wang had escaped, was both furious and annoyed, and they had to pay the bill themselves. This action left Liang Xiaojia indignant, and she sued Lao Wang in court, demanding that he pay 10,000 yuan as compensation. She argued that the meal cost should at least be split between the 2 parties. During the court hearing, Lao Wang's defense attracted attention. He stated that, according to the usual practice of blind dates, aside from the man and the woman, at most the parents of both parties and the matchmaker would attend the meal. He never expected Liang Xiaojia to bring so many relatives, which completely exceeded his expectations. He also pointed out that not only did Liang Xiaojia's group have a large number of people, but they also ordered many expensive dishes, making him feel like he was being treated as a cash cow. Therefore, he chose to leave. Liang Xiaojia, on the other hand, insisted that it was Lao Wang who had invited her to the meal during the blind date, and by convention, the inviter should pay the bill. The court ruled that Liang Xiaojia's act of bringing 23 relatives without prior agreement was clearly beyond social norms and violated basic principles of good faith. Although Lao Wang's act of leaving without paying was not polite, there is no legal provision requiring the man to pay for a blind date meal. As a result, the court dismissed Liang Xiaojia's claim and ordered her to bear the litigation costs. Upon hearing the verdict, Liang Xiaojia was so angry that she almost fainted, but she had no choice but to accept the outcome in silence. The judgment caused an uproar online as soon as it was revealed. Netizens expressed their opinions, with some criticizing the man for being dishonorable by leaving without paying. Others condemned the woman's act of bringing 23 relatives to a blind date as outrageous. Among the sharp comments, some remarked that it wasn't a blind date but a hongmen banquet. The behavior of the woman and her relatives became a prime example of freeloading. However, what is even more thought-provoking is the social phenomenon reflected behind this blind date meal. Driven by material desires, trust and understanding between people seem to be becoming increasingly rare.
相亲有一些不成文的规定。
In the process of blind dates, there are some unwritten rules that need to be understood and followed. These rules, although not explicitly stated, are tacitly observed by many people. Let's go into detail about these considerations during blind dates. The first rule is about the cost of the first meeting on a blind date. Generally speaking, it is almost considered a default etiquette for the man to take the initiative to pay on the first meeting. If the woman wants to show some economic gesture, she can choose to treat the man to a meal on subsequent dates or simply buy a few cups of milk tea to express her appreciation. The second rule is that if a woman actively proposes to split the bill on the first blind date or directly insists on paying for herself, it often means she is not very interested in the man and does not intend to develop the relationship further. Such actions are usually considered a polite signal of rejection. The third rule is that if a man is interested in a woman, he will generally show enthusiasm, take the initiative to contact her, or express concern. If he appears indifferent or not proactive, it is likely that he is not interested in the relationship. This may seem simple, but it holds a lot of truth in real-life scenarios. The fourth rule is that both men and women should start blind dating early. This is crucial for both genders. The earlier you begin, the higher the chances of success.
The fifth rule is to avoid asking about the other person's attitude too eagerly after the blind date. If you are interested in the other person, try to test their feelings by suggesting another meeting. If they are also interested in you, they will usually gladly accept the invitation. This allows the relationship to progress naturally without seeming too impatient. The sixth rule is to prioritize the woman's preferences when choosing the meeting place. Selecting a location closer to her home or one she is familiar with not only shows that you are considerate but also makes her feel safer. The seventh rule emphasizes the importance of personal appearance during blind dates. Both parties should pay attention to their grooming and present their best selves. Women can wear light makeup and dress nicely, while men should at least keep their hair clean, nails trimmed, and maintain good hygiene. This is not only a matter of courtesy but also shows respect for the meeting, allowing the other person to feel your sincerity. The eighth rule is to maintain a calm mindset. Blind dating is a process of mutual selection. The other person may be interested in you while you are not interested in them, or you may admire them while they are not interested in you. These are perfectly normal situations, so it is important to stay composed and avoid letting disappointment or overly high expectations affect your mood. The ninth rule is to pay attention to the other person's responses during the blind date. Especially for women, if she only gives short answers to questions without engaging in further conversation, it is likely a sign that she is not interested in you. The 10th rule concerns the frequency of contact after the meeting. If contact decreases significantly after the date, it is most likely because you did not meet the other person's expectations in certain aspects. The 11th rule reiterates the importance of the man's initiative. If a man truly likes a woman but remains passive, it is unlikely that the relationship will progress. Whether or not one takes the initiative is often a key signal of whether the relationship can continue. Lastly, regardless of the outcome, we should maintain a healthy mindset. It's okay to be single, and it's okay not to get married, but it is essential not to lose your happiness.
在相亲的过程中，如果女生提出来跟男生 AA
In the process of blind dating, if the woman takes the initiative to propose going Dutch, and the man agrees readily, it often indicates that neither party is satisfied with each other. When a woman proposes going Dutch, it is more of an implicit rejection signal, suggesting that she is not optimistic about the man. Similarly, if the man agrees without hesitation, it is likely that he also has little interest in the woman. In the blind dating market, a meal can reveal not only the other person's financial status, but also give a glimpse into the man's personality and how he handles social situations. For example, some women have encountered the following situation during blind dates. The man hesitates when it's time to pay, and his attitude is unclear, leading the woman to step in and pay the bill herself. In this case, the woman's impression of the man is likely to drop significantly. However, if you later ask the man why he didn't pay for the meal, he might give an explanation like, "I go on blind dates 10 or even 20 times a year, and I always pay the bill." Over time, it adds up to quite a lot. This seemingly reasonable explanation actually exposes the man's negative attitude towards blind dating. He treats it as a burden rather than a serious, worthwhile endeavor. Of course, some men might say, if the woman is willing to go Dutch, it actually makes me feel she is generous and independent. Next time, I'd like to treat her. While this reasoning may seem plausible, I would say that such men are not worth dating. Further speaking, if a man usually spends 200 yuan when dining with friends, but chooses a high-end restaurant with an average cost of 800 yuan per person for a blind date, it raises the suspicion that he is trying to create a particular image. Blind dates don't need to involve spending too much more than one's usual budget. Moderation is key. For instance, if a man usually spends 200 yuan on meals, raising the budget to 300 yuan for a date shows that he values the meeting without being pretentious. Similarly, even when dining with clients, it's not guaranteed that the cooperation will succeed after a single meal, but people are willing to use the meal as a means of building basic trust. This is a normal social interaction. If someone places excessive emphasis on a meal, believing it must result in something, it reflects a narrow vision. Moreover, in blind dating, if a man is willing to take you to a high-end place, there is another possibility. He is very satisfied with you and is trying to show his sincerity through lavish spending. However, this over-the-top gesture often raises doubts about his true intentions. After all, relationships take time to develop, and you can't determine whether two people are a good match after just one meal. From another perspective, if a man begins to be overly cautious about the costs of a blind date, it suggests he is not suitable for continuing the process. A meal should not become an obstacle to building a relationship. If a man can't accept this minor investment, does it indicate that he is not truly prepared to seriously look for a partner? There are many ways to deal with the financial pressure in this situation, such as reducing the frequency of blind dates or confirming mutual interest through online chatting before meeting in person, which can help save time and energy more efficiently. In the dynamics of relationships, whether a man is willing to take the initiative to bear the cost of the meal will greatly influence the woman's overall impression of him. As a woman, I believe that reasonable efforts and consideration should be mutual, but if the man is overly stingy at crucial moments, it will indeed lead to disappointment. If this happens even in a casual social setting with friends, it is even harder to imagine how the relationship will continue in the future.
男生在相亲约会中明明花了很多钱。
Many men feel wronged and confused when, despite spending a lot of money during a blind date, they are still criticized by the woman as being stingy. In fact, men and women have completely different understandings of spending money. Men usually believe that treating a woman to a meal, going to the movies, or even traveling together counts as spending money on her. However, from a woman's perspective, these expenses are not considered as money spent on her, but just shared costs for the date. In other words, without her, would you not have eaten? Without her, would you not have gone out? These expenses are simply for enhancing the experience of the date, which helps achieve your own goals. A woman will never think that you are spending money on her. For women, the real meaning of spending money on her is something entirely different. The true essence of spending money on her means that the money spent has nothing to do with you anymore. To put it simply, it refers to whether you have directly transferred money to her. If you haven't transferred money to her, even if you treat her to a high-end French meal or take her on a trip to Hokkaido, she will still think that you are stingy and unwilling to spend money. This is the huge difference in the way men and women interpret spending money. Men think they have already spent a lot on women, while women feel that these expenses are not directly related to them. Therefore, when men think they have been generous but women still think they are stingy, it's essentially a misunderstanding caused by different interpretations of the concept of spending money on a woman. Understanding this might help avoid some unnecessary misunderstandings.
男人天天跟你聊天，请你吃饭，都是为了尬用你。
A few days ago, I shared an opinion, which roughly went like this. When a man chats with you every day and treats you to meals, to be honest, a lot of the time, he isn't doing it out of pure concern for you. He usually has a clear agenda. I didn't expect that the comment section would be filled with so many women who disagreed. They believe that men should be willing to invest in women and pay for meals. Don't you understand this? Some men may talk to you every day and invite you out to eat, but they don't necessarily have a generous heart. They are simply using this opportunity to get closer to you. You probably know deep down that he has an agenda. Look, some men, even in this cold weather, are still wearing down jackets that they bought 5 years ago. The feathers are almost gone, and the jacket is practically falling apart. Yet, they refuse to buy a new one, but they are willing to spend hundreds of yuan to treat you to a meal and take you to a movie. You know it's not out of filial piety or a desire to care for you. He's doing this obviously with his own agenda. You're not his mother, so why would he show filial piety for you? But then look at you women. When it comes to food, you're never hesitant. You're quick to indulge in expensive dishes without hesitation when you see them on the menu. But after the meal, which should logically be followed by the next stage of the date, you turn to the man and say, "Oh, it's too late. I need to go home now." If you don't want to be played, then you shouldn't have gone to that meal in the first place. Why not just refuse the invitation outright? Don't shamelessly go to eat free meals. Once you've agreed to go out for dinner, you should take some responsibility. Don't be like someone with no principles, eating the man's meal and then leaving without fulfilling your end of the deal. Isn't that being a bad girl? You just eat, enjoy, and don't deliver on your promises. Isn't that consuming someone else?
Why do more and more young men dislike blind dates nowadays? Actually, There's a deeper reason behind this issue. The truth is, most girls who go on blind dates aren't genuinely looking for a suitable partner, nor are they truly interested in marriage. Many of them don't feel an urgent need to find the right person for marriage. They're not willing to settle for a just-okay life or to find a man who treats them well. On the contrary, many girls attend blind dates with the real purpose of seeing if they can meet a rich, handsome guy or get lucky, hoping to find someone like a domineering CEO who would fall in love with them. They fantasize about this outcome. If they meet the perfect guy, that's great. If not, they don't feel like they've lost much. Even if they meet an average guy, they may feel it's okay, as they can simply reject him. Plus, they often get a free meal out of it. For them, there's really no loss at all. Therefore, this type of blind date situation makes many men feel that it's very unfair. Just think about it. Nowadays, many men spend at least 500 yuan for a blind date, including dinner and a movie. Some men attend several blind dates a month, almost spending all of their salary. So, men are often the ones who lose out in this situation. More and more men are losing interest in blind dates because they feel there's no point in it. It's hard for them to meet girls who are serious about finding a partner, and most girls are either there to scam a free meal or not taking the relationship seriously. Do you agree with my point of view? Have you ever been on a blind date? Feel free to leave your comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support means a lot to us, and we will continue to provide you with better content. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.